Well, welcome Phil Stapleton, who started SITU in 2008 with a straightforward aim of simplifying the process of booking service departments when traveling for business. Having worked in the vacation rental and hotel industry in the US, and then for a service department operator in the UK, Phil had some ideas on what he wanted a business like this, which was then called Room B, to look like, leading to an exciting time of growth within a sector that was still not widely recognized. Today, SITU still has its roots in the original mission, but has expanded considerably to include a global network of properties, industry-leading technology solutions, and most importantly, a team of knowledgeable, passionate, and dedicated people that continue to drive the business forward. Phil, hello to you.
Hello, how are you?
Yes, well, thank you very much. Thanks for joining us today. Really grateful.
No problem, no problem.
So tell us a little bit about SITU then, Phil, and what SITU does and what your aspirations were when you first started it.
So going back to when I first started, as you rightly said then, I'd come from a hospitality background. I did a degree in the hospitality space and was very fortunate to be allowed to go over to the States for about 18 months and work in a resort, which gave me a really good kind of grounding in both the vacation rental space because they had some fantastic luxury rentals. It's the Sea, if anyone knows it, it's the Sea Pines Resort on Hilton Head Island. So a really nice family holiday if anybody ever wants to go over. But it's yeah, lot of large detached luxury rentals, which I was involved in, and then also working at the Inn at Harbour Town, which is a 5-star hotel that they've got there on the resort. So I'd have that as a basis, and then upon coming back to the UK, just totally out of luck, more than judgment perhaps, got involved with a service department business in sunny Gloucestershire, where I know that you're based. And then soon after that decided to kind of branch off into the agency space as opposed to the operator space where I'd been. And at the time, as I could see it, certainly there wasn't a lot of players in that area, and felt that was a really good opportunity, something that kind of I found very exciting, and of course still do. So it grew from there, very kind of humble beginnings out of my bedroom, and we then later on moved the business to Exeter, where we're headquartered today. So as you said, it was very much at the time just try and simplify something that seemed to me to be quite complicated. Certainly there was still bookings being made by fax back in 2008, which seemed kind of crazy now, but so we were trying to stop that kind of stuff, or at least shield the client from it, shield the guest from it, so it was easier for them, and we did the heavy lifting. And then fast forwarding that 12 years, we've spent a lot of time and effort on processes and how in the background we can continue to do that heavy lifting while providing really elegant solution on the front end. So whether that's offline or online bookings, that we've got a really nice way, a really smooth way, and a really straightforward way for people to find what they need by way of service departments globally. And of course, really, when we're kind of talking about that, our majority of our business does come from business travellers as opposed to the kind of leisure or personal stay market. So yes, we continue in that journey, and hopefully that's one that we're going to continue for a very long time.
So in terms of the service department industry and the operator landscape at the moment in the UK, what are you seeing? What do you think that's looking like?
I think it's a really interesting but varied time for us, with a wide kind of field of operators, should we say. So if you think on one end, we've got an continuing influx of either individual landlords or individual operators, if you want to call them that, and perhaps start-up service department operators with just a few units, and perhaps that really probably has been driven out of the tax changes that we saw here in the in the buy-to-let scene back in 2017. So we've got that on, if you want to kind of call that one end of the spectrum, and then right up on the other end of the spectrum, you've got the continued march of the apart hotel sector, which is certainly the larger players are moving very aggressively towards, away from what you might call our roots in the residential leased kind of space, and then of course lots of things in between. Some really interesting brands coming over from the States, and some different types of models out there. Whether this whole situation we're in now is going to see that change, who knows? But I would suspect that the apart hotel model will continue to grow in dominance for various reasons, not only just because it provides some of the similarities that people are used to with hotels, but of course with the benefits of the product they're looking for in a service department. So it's a really I think a really interesting time, as I say, and certainly one that is the most activity I've certainly seen since I've been in the industry, in the sense that there's so many different things going on at once, and so much movement and so much recognition. So that's kind of where I think we're at the moment, certainly in the UK anyway.
And that's interesting, because we've been talking quite a lot and interviewing quite a few people about service departments and apart hotels and the popularity, especially now we hope we're coming out of this pandemic. We've certainly been talking about the popularity, service departments being best positioned to handle individuals that may wish to self-isolate and so forth. So with this popularity that's being suggested, do you think that there will be a surge in support for the service department industry?
Yeah, I mean, this is probably not the platform to be preaching to the converted about the benefits and values of service departments, but everybody knows why we might have seen service departments perform better, let's say better than expected, when we were all looking down the barrel of this situation in March, due to simply the setup of what they are and the facilities there within. I mean, I was listening to, I'm sure you know this show, a guy called Glenn Housman. It's No Vacancy. It's a podcast that he does that I quite enjoy. It's an American, a lot of American operators on there talking about the market. Certainly in the States, they do have some stuff abroad. But when I was listening to this the other day, they were talking about how the extended stay sector in the States has outperformed hotels by about 15% on RevPAR during this period. So whether that is going to translate to continued a continued uptick afterwards, that's for the future. But I think then shortly after that, and only a few days ago, something that was reshared by ASAP was the Savills report, which also showed a slightly more robust period for service departments in Europe. So if you think about those two things, and then you think about the product, and you think about what the future might hold, and again you look at the history of service departments, where they typically are more robust through stormy economic periods, this might just be another one of those where it will be an opportunity for the industry to grow again, and be more recognised again. And again, from kind of all of our point of view, that's a great thing, albeit that it presents the challenge of checking that we are all stood kind of shoulder to shoulder to present one industry, and that's certainly where we want to be going with ASAP and our supply chain and industry colleagues.
And do you think, we've been talking about getting the attention of the buyer over the last few years, because as you know, accreditation forms the backbone of the ASAP. We only recognise organisations that have been accredited, and we believe that the differentiator is so important within the service department and extended stay sector, because there are so many risks out there that we continually write about. So How do we get the attention of the buyer? And how do we reassure them that those that certainly you work with and others are credible and safe to choose?
I think it's like most things. I think there is an element of checking we're repeating the same statement and presenting the same imagery. So, you know, if we take the ISAP mark from ASAP as something that, if we're bringing that to the fore in all the meetings that we're having and all the meetings our competitors are having and all the meetings that other people in the industry are having with the buyers, and we're talking about it, that's a great way to get it out there. It has to be in conversation, and it has to be an important thing that we need to be advocating for it, should I say. So that would be one big way I would say we could get the buyer's attention. But as I may have mentioned before, when we were chatting, necessity is the mother of all invention, which I like. And if you think about that, we are at a time now where there is a big necessity to really talk properly about due diligence, and included in that conversation is now the COVID conversation. And certainly from SITU's point of view, we're going to be we're looking at all this again with fresh eyes, speaking to our customers, and coming forward and saying, well, you know, we have the attention of the buyer now, so it's now time, because of what's happened. So they have a necessity, and we need to provide, to some degree, the invention to do that, to ensure that we are showing them what they want to see and giving them those assurances. And so assurances is what we're going to be looking to give.
Well, that's, you know, that's important, isn't it? That's exactly what we are trying to do. We're trying to align ourselves with other recognised organisations that are also trying to bring the hospitality and travel industry back to a place where it was, well, only just a few months ago. So, you know, with that in mind, what do you think the biggest barriers for industry at the moment?
I think, yeah, I mean, I think probably where we were just talking about is going to be getting that message out there, that as an industry, we've got one voice. We're going to be talking about the assurances we can give, and that, hey, the product's great, and it's exactly what you need as a travel buyer, or that's what we're wanting to tell people. But can we then provide the backup that the very large hotel chains, with some of the hookups that they've done with you know, cleaning product companies that are well-known household names, to give and the processes that lie there within, to make people feel that there is some safety to start traveling again. And you know, that's going to be probably the main one that we're facing, because I don't see, from chatting to and seeing in the industry press and various other places, there's no lack of appetite for the actual product on one hand, or the appetite for the operators to be getting the product out there. I've been speaking to some of our suppliers who are still saying they want to march ahead with the plans they had, or, for example, may have already been in the middle of a new development, and that has continued through this period. So, you know, the barrier immediately in front of us will need addressing, and I think, as I say, as an industry coming together to stand together to get the message out is probably what we've got to do.
Well, in terms of the future, then, what are you most excited about, and what can you tell us about your plans for the next 12 months or so?
Okay. So I think probably the first thing is just getting back to the office, whatever that's going to look like. That is going to be exciting, because as much as I love being here in my study at home, I also really miss all of the people at work, the ability to just, I suppose, kind of riff with people on ideas that we've got, and everything else, which is, we found great benefit in using our video calling. We've used Microsoft Teams over this period, so that's been great, but it does it does mean that we haven't been able to perhaps be able to just discuss off the cuff ideas that people might have. And I think that's a massive part of who SITU is and how we've grown, and just be able to kind of plan like that together and be together. So I'm very excited for that. I really want that to happen. And then over the next 12 months, we want to continue with the plans we had pre-COVID. So we're going to be releasing those over the kind of the next, I would say, from July onwards, providing we continue on this good upward trend with the situation with COVID. And I can't probably say too much, unfortunately, but it's we've got lots of stuff in the pipeline that we're looking forward to bring to market, both from a technology point of view, from a people point of view, geographic locations that we want to talk about. I think the future's really bright for business, actually, and I think we've never been in a better position to work with our suppliers and our partners on taking their offering out to the buyers. So yeah, it's going to be some good times, but I think we've got some things to overcome, but overcome we shall.
Oh, that's really interesting. Certainly interesting with the plans that you may or may not be able to expand on. I suppose I wouldn't be doing my job properly if I didn't push you to see if there's anything you could tell us.
Well, I mean, I think it's going back to what I said about people. We've got some really good of course, all our existing team, and then one of the things which is really, I have to confess that I was perhaps a bit of a Luddite about prior to this situation, was that I'm very keen to try and have everybody at our headquarters to work. I think I've really seen the light in that a flexible working approach can be just as good, providing the right technologies put in place. So although, as I said, we do want to get back to the office, I think it's opened up an ability to recruit where we may have before shied away because of the unknown of how it would be having remote workers. And I think we're probably not the only ones in that bag, or that has seen a new way, as it were. So yeah, from a people perspective, and that's as much as you're going to get from me, I'm afraid, James, but from a people perspective, we've got some really great new people joining the business, and that's going to be coming out quite soon. So yeah, as I say, a really good time for us, we hope.
Well, don't say I didn't try, but
no, you did. It was good effort.
Well, I really appreciate your time. I know everyone else does as well. It's a busy time for all of us, so we really do appreciate chatting with you. And thanks
you too.
again,
Thanks for inviting me on, James. Thanks for the opportunity.
Take care of yourself. Bye.
All the best. Thank you. Bye bye.